Thank you. It's the Trigger Warning a Fun Time Show podcast number 2, featuring the Dickoleski Fun Time Band. Take it away, boys.
I'm a Babyface Nelson, and I'm gonna rock the hell out of this here clarinet.
I'm a Burrito Supreme, and I'm gonna make this tuba my bitch.
I'm a superfan Ozzy, and I'm going to play the flesh flute.
Today, great. And now let's hear it from our very special musical guest, Jack Spade.
Hey, I'm a Jack Spade, and I'm going to be playing my butt.
Isn't that great? It's a nice ass, but it's got a crack in it. And now let's get this show underway. All right, it is the Trigger Warning Fun Time Show podcast number 2, and all those fun accents at the beginning. I thought a good thing to talk about on this show would be, since this podcast is out of Fargo, do you guys think that people in other parts of the country, or let's face it, in other countries, since this is probably intercontinental, do you think people can tell that we're from Fargo just by listening to our accents?
I
Maybe
don't
a
know.
little bit. I mean, if we were out on the boat, they would know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't you know?
I think that we all do the way more
Yeah.
than people in other parts of the country. At least I do.
I think more than anyone sounds the most Fargo of all of us.
That's because I ran for mayor of Fargo.
Oh,
And so we get the first bleep on this podcast.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I go by Babyface Nelson
Oh,
on
whoops.
the podcast.
Right, you got to remember that. Although, you know what's funny? When I was driving in this morning, I heard a DJ on another station called Jack Slade.
in Valley City?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard that clown.
All right. You didn't
You
sound
guys
anything
should
like
meet
Jack
up
Spade.
and become
fight.
best friends or fight.
I heard him years ago when I was going to Valley City with a buddy to go get Pizza Corner pizza, and I heard him. I'm like, who the hell is this fake-ass imposter trying to be me?
Because he's really rock and roll, and he's really aggressive sounding.
You guys, can we have a quick 21 burp salute to Pizza Corner Pizza leaving Valley City?
Get the air freshener.
What a blow to Valley City to lose Pizza Corner Pizza. What are the Boy Scouts going to do for fundraisers now? They're not
don't
measuring cheese anymore.
More popcorn.
Right? But do you think, okay, so because of the Fargo TV show and the Fargo movie, I'm thinking, aside from the Eastern accent, like Boston and stuff, isn't Fargo one of the most easily recognizable accents in the country now? Because have you ever gone to, I've just was down in Florida recently, and people down there knew I was from the upper Midwest, and they actually treated me like I was a celebrity when they found out I was from Fargo, which I thought was ridiculous.
It's a great calling card. It's a wonderful icebreaker to be able to say, "Oh, I'm from Fargo." What? Like the
love that
movie and the
movie.
show?
Don't put me in the ice chipper, or the wood chipper.
Obviously, you haven't seen the movie. You just know the best ofs. I think it's great. In fact, I can't tell you the amount of access I've had to celebrities because I've been from Fargo. And then they'll ask to see my ID, and that's another great icebreaker because on my ID I've got this giant goofy smiley face. I look like a total idiot. And they're like, "Oh, he is from Fargo, and he's stupid too. Look at him."
Because you meet anybody, and if they find out you're from Fargo, they're like, "Oh, so is it cold up there all the time? Or do you guys eat hot dish all the time?" I mean, all of the things that they've learned from the movie, they just assume are true about this area.
I lived in Alabama for a while, and when I got down there, no one really, the only people that knew I was from Fargo was because I worked for a radio station, and the radio station thought it would be a great idea to name me Fargo. Like, that's going to be your name now. And I'm like, that name sucks. And so I got that name, and then people would ask me why I got that name. Like, "Oh, do you like the movie?" I'm like, "No, I'm from there."
Really?
And then their minds would just pop. And then I was in Alabama for like 4 years, and one night some guy called me at the radio station. He's like, "You really from Fargo?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I told him, "Yeah." He's like, "You don't sound like it." And I was like, "Well, whatever. We don't all sound like that up there." He's like, "Well, I'm from there too." I'm like, "Shut up." Because like the town I lived in had a military base, and he was like a military guy, and he's like, so we were talking about like all the Fargo landmarks that there are, all 3 of them. And
What's stimulating radio?
I know, right? It was great. It was awesome. It was like the best radio show ever.
Fargo and Alabama.
It won a Marconi Award.
I was down in Texas, and I went. I was going to a barbecue joint that was one of the. It's called Smitty's. It's one of the barbecue joints you have to go to. And there's maybe like 6 people in this place. It's got an old wood fire grill, everything like that. And I walk in, and I'm so excited, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm from North Dakota, so this is a big trek for me." And she goes, "Oh, where from in North Dakota?" And I said, "Fargo." She goes, "Oh, I grew up in Crookston." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny." And then another guy leans in. He goes, "Crookston, I'm from Thief River Falls." And I'm like, "What the hell is happening in this little place? Are we all from the upper Midwest and we decided to come down here?"
Well, so I know that we all went and saw Batman versus Superman yesterday, so we're going to spend probably the bulk of this podcast dumping on that movie. But before we get into that, maybe we should talk about that other dumping story that was telling us about. People were talking about it all this week.
Yeah, I would love to. So this is a woman at _Blotty who tweets a lot. She's a well-followed tweeter. Is that what they're called? So Tweetist? Oh, because they're such artists. She tweeted a hilarious story about some misfortunate events that happened to her when she was on a first date with a guy. So she went on this date and with a man that she met in the grocery store, mind you. And she went back to his place afterwards, and she had to use the restroom. Well, his toilet didn't flush correctly. So she panicked and tried flushing, and then was like, what do I do? And her thought process went to, I'm going to grab this turd out of the toilet because she's not going to leave it there for him to find. First date, you know, that's not first date etiquette.
Floater in there, right?
Yeah, right. She can't get it to go down. So she grabs a bunch of toilet paper, grabs it out of the toilet. Well, then there's no garbage can or, you know, like she can't figure out what to do with it. So she wraps it up in a bunch of toilet paper and then puts it in her purse. And then she said that she had a turd in her purse, and she just describes that she's sitting on the couch and they were, you know, kissing and making out, and he's telling her how much he really likes her, and, you know, like, I think we get along so well, and the whole time she's like, I can't concentrate because I have poop in my purse. And finally, he used the bathroom, and she heard it flush, and she was like, oh, my God, it must be working. So then she went in, and she finally got it to flush. But for like 20 minutes, she had her own feces in her purse.
Oh. And I said, why not just, like, take it and push it down the drain in the shower or in the sink and then run, you know, the water to go over it and take care of it there versus putting it in there. And both Scratch and Burrito Supreme were telling me, like, oh, that is just disgusting.
Because then you're
still touching the turd no matter what.
Yeah, but she, like, used toilet paper and then grabbed what I assume must have been a pretty solid turd, right? Yeah. And if you're going to try to shove that down a bathroom drain,
First
like,
of all,
that's a lot of effort to get rid of it.
How dense are your turds where you couldn't turn on a bathtub and the water itself couldn't break apart your fecal matter and send it down? How tough of a poop are you taking?
I feel like that is going to be smellier and disgusting. And then what if you clog his...
Smellier and disgusting than taking it out of that and putting it in your purse? And what about everything that's in your purse?
How do you explain to your date that you're turning the tub on?
Yeah,
right.
Oh, I think it's much easier than like 20 minutes later him saying like, God, something smells like shit. Because she admits to him. Yeah. She admits to him at the end of the story that, you know, earlier I couldn't get this poop to go down, so I just put it in my purse.
No, she never admits it to him. She never tells him.
Right there, she's admitting it to him that, like,
it's on the internet.
She doesn't tell him, but she admits to the fact that she put a poop in her purse.
Here's what she should have done. She should have taken the drain off of the sink, put the turd down there, poured a little Drano, a little hand sanitizer, and then put the drain back in, run a little hot water, 15 minutes, you're fucking golden.
Where does she got access to all this? You're not in the right frame of mind. You're going to be hunting in all the cupboards in there.
And obviously she's panicked, right? This is extreme panic mode because on a first date, I probably would have never even taken a shit at a guy's house on a first date. Like, I would have held that in and been uncomfortable rather than, like, done the deed on a first date. That was a poor choice on her
Maybe
part.
his way of making out is really squeezing her a lot, and she was worried that, like, well, it's going to happen eventually.
But obviously, she likes this guy, and, her brain's not working right. She's had some wine. She likes this guy, and she's like, I can't let him see my shit in his toilet because we just went on our first date.
I'm going to tell you this, ladies of the world, that's not a deal breaker to me. If you leave a log in my toilet and you come out and be like, hey, couldn't get your toilet to flush, I'd be like, hey, no problem.
Hey, what? I'm still getting some.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Now you owe me. All the things you put in your purse. So now she's going to be like, oh, do you want a piece of gum? No. It was in your shit purse.
Yeah.
It was in your Mark Poop Jacobs
These
bag.
mints he gave me smell like shit.
Hello, trigger warning, fun time.
Hey, what's up, bitches? It's your old pal Hardhat calling.
Oh, hey, Henry. We haven't heard from you in a long time. What have you been up to, brother?
Oh, collecting unemployment, living off the government's teeth until construction season starts up again. That's why I was so excited to hear that you idiots started doing this podcast. Gives me something to listen to.
So why'd you call in today, Hardhat?
Well, I tell you what, I heard Burrito telling that disgusting story about the lady that crapped in her purse, and it reminded me of a similar story that happened to me just last month, so I thought I'd call in and share it with you.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute. You had a similar story happen to you?
That's right, and the lady in your story handled it horribly. Let me tell you what I did. So I was out at Rick's about a month ago, and I just polished off a couple of plates of those buffalo wings they got, when I see this TLU, tight little unit, eyeing me from across the bar.
Oh, so was she hot?
Oh, man, was she ever hot. She was like a cross between Abe Vigoda and Laura Ingalls Wilder. So, I'm into it immediately.
Whoa, hold on. Did you say Abe Vigoda?
Well, living Abe Vigoda, not dead Abe Vigoda. Jeez, don't be sick. So she asked me if I'd like to go back to her apartment with her, right?
So what happened? Did you go?
You know what a Lothario I am, right? I mean, my wee-wee is going woo-woo, so of course I go. And anywho, we're back at her place. Things are getting pretty hot and heavy when I realize that those hot wings aren't sitting as well as I thought they were, if you know what I mean. So I excuse myself, and I proceed to take a dump in her toilet. Well, you can imagine, when much like the lady in your story, the toilet will not flush, how panicked I became.
Well, you must have been pretty embarrassed, huh?
Boy, was I ever. I mean, here's this girl I'm trying to impress in the next room. The last thing I want to admit to her is that I left a floater in her toilet. So doing some quick thinking, I stick my hand into the toilet bowl, scoop out the turd, and conceal it by shoving it down the back of my underwear.
Whoa. Hardhat, you shoved it back into your pants?
Absolutely, that's right. Now I no longer have to admit that her toilet won't flush. So I walk back into her living room and I tell her, excuse me, I have to run home and change. I seem to have shit my pants. Voila, crisis averted.
So what happened with the girl?
Well, funny thing, I went back like a half hour later, and she had a sign up on her door that said she had moved. I can't help but think of how our love may have bloomed had it not been for her moving, but what are you going to do?
Well, thanks for calling, Hardhat.
All right, later, losers.
Bye-bye.
Speaking of turds, and we should say right now, the rest of this podcast, spoiler alert, because we're going to give out details like crazy about this movie that we just saw. We just went and saw Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and what's the consensus in this room?
More like Yawn of Justice.
Oh, touche.
I actually kind of liked it, you guys.
Lies.
Shut up, babyface.
Yeah,
Get
what
out.
was great is Zack Snyder really has a talent for storytelling. He's the modern day master of cinema.
Your troll game is on point today.
2.5 hours, and how could you take such an exciting premise and make it so boring?
Just go watch that movie, and that's how they did it.
So I didn't like Man of Steel to begin with.
No.
Didn't care for it
Same.
so much. In fact, I found myself in Man of Steel siding with General Zod as this guy. Like, that's his purpose for living, is to, ensure Krypton survives. And lo and behold, in this, I was like, Lex Luthor's got a real point, guys. Maybe we should have some kind of checks and balances going on here, because Superman seems to be doing whatever he can to save Lois Lane. Why has no one figured that out yet? It's pretty obvious. And all he wants to do is have some kind of a deterrent there. You know, he's not seeking world power for himself. He never talked about making something where the world has to bow down to him. He's just talking about one guy keeping one guy in check.
So plot points aside, yeah, you have no problems with that then.
Oh, I've got everything else is a problem. That being said, I mean, that is after I've spent a long time drinking and writing notes to myself. That movie made me drunk dial an ex last night.
Ooh.
Did it really?
Yeah, I was so pissed off about it. And she had posted on Facebook how excited she was to see it, and then had a glowing review of it afterwards that I called and said, "This is why we're not together anymore. You're so stupid."
I found there are a lot of people that are not comic book people that have been saying, I kind of liked it.
We work with a couple that really enjoyed it and said that, you know, they even got teary-eyed. And the reason they got teary-eyed is because there's a shitty love story sandwiched in between. And that has no place in Batman versus Superman. It has no place in a superhero movie anyways.
You didn't go to see Superman Loves Lois Lane. That wasn't the
No.
movie you signed up for.
No, I did not.
You guys, let's take a little time machine back to the writer's room. Okay, so.
All right.
Hey guys, listen. So, Batman versus Superman, it's going to be huge. But the only thing that we need is we need a plot point for Superman and Batman to become friends. What do you think it should be? Should it be that they're both, you know, feel this immense duty to humanity?
No. Did you know that both of their mothers are named Martha?
I didn't.
What?
Yeah, I know, right? Let's have them connect over that.
You don't think that that's really juvenile and stupid and could possibly ruin a franchise?
No, you guys. Like, how ironic is it that both their moms are named Martha? Let's really hit that home. In fact, let's put Martha in the movie as often as possible.
I'm seeing swag. I'm seeing T-shirts that say, "You're letting them kill Martha."
In fact, we're gonna then introduce the rest of the Justice League in this movie too, and you're gonna find out in Justice League Part 1, Aquaman's mother's name is Martha, and the Flash's mother's name is Martha. They all come together over their mothers.
The Martha League.
Yes. $5 billion.
All right, and back to current time.
I like how
So
all the
that happened.
icons were already in the movie, too.
Right, that Lex Luthor took the time to create the Wonder Woman icon and the Aquaman icon because God forbid they just put like the Underwater Man as as like a file heading.
So, did anyone else catch this when they're going through like they're clicking on all the files and like here's all the metahumans and stuff? Aquaman was very clearly holding his breath underwater.
Yeah.
Like, isn't his defining trait that he can breathe underwater?
No,
Also-
one breath taken.
Did anyone else feel like that footage sort of looked like the Titanic footage at the beginning of the movie where the submersible's going down? Is that what he's doing? He's looking through the Titanic being like, I'm going to find that jewel.
And even just the basics. Don't you feel like Zack Snyder when they, like the car chase scene when Batman is chasing the bad guys? Don't you want to be able to tell that that's what's happening? I couldn't even tell what was happening most of the time. I didn't know who was driving what. It just seemed like it was all cut so awkward and hard to watch.
Yeah. You know what else I think was kind of hard to watch was the fact that like Alfred is not only being treated as a butler, but he's also like the lead designer on the bat suit. And what qualifications does this guy have to rewire it? Also, side note, why does Batman need a speaker system inside of his suit
So
to make
that he can talk like this.
distorts his voice
Why did you say that name? Why did you say that name?
I learned this trick from Bane.
Yeah, they've never had that in any of the Batman movies before.
Yeah, they just make Christian Bale go like this.
Gravelly like that.
I did enjoy that more than I enjoyed like Dark Knight Rises Christian Bale's growl, because that was almost getting like to be a parody by the third Nolan movie. So
Yeah.
I didn't mind the voice distorter.
I like when we found out that the reason Batman's voice is so deep and gravelly is because he's vaping all the time. They should have had that in there.
That's one of the deleted scenes, I think. Zack Snyder's a big vapor.
Also, why do these arch villains like Lex Luthor always need a giant tower? Like, Why do they always need, like an HR department and, accounting is on 6 and we also have a deluxe spa available? Like, why do they always have to have these enormous towers? You don't see a lot of billionaires other than Donald Trump having a giant tower nowadays named after them. Why can't they have a nice, urban sprawl spread, like a Marvin Windows style factory where it's all on one level?
Like a ranch home.
Yeah.
Now, wouldn't you agree that there's a lot of people listening that might be DC fans and they're thinking you're just Marvel fanboys and that's why you hate the movie?
No.
But the truth is,
I Batman is my favorite.
Right.
And Ozzy's as well.
and as DC fans, don't you wish that they would just get it right already?
Exactly. Like I'm so sad because I wanted this movie to be good. I love Batman so much. I think he's a great character, and I did like Ben Affleck as Batman. Surprisingly, it surprised me. I did not think I was going to, and it sucks that now he did a decent Batman, but it's stuck in this shitty superhero movie, and he's sad about it, and he just can't get redemption for being a superhero.
I wanted to see more gadgets.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw the Batmobile, you saw the Batwing, but the Batmobile, I can't tell what the design of it is, what it looks like.
What it does.
It was just quick, like you said, quick cuts, snaps, turns.
Yeah, quick there and then broken.
Yep. And done.
So if you Google Martha Wayne right now, there are 25 news stories, and this movie just opened yesterday of like WTF Martha Wayne and all of these things. And also, I found this out yesterday. Did you know that her maiden name was Martha Kane? So if she hyphenated, she'd be Martha Kane Wayne.
It also shows DC's, they're really reaching with creativity when they have Martha Kane and Martha Kent as the two mothers of their most popular superheroes.
Maybe the missed opportunity here was to include a nice hip-hop number on the soundtrack like Seal did for Batman Forever, and say like, oh, is that Lil Wayne over there? Little Bruce Wayne? No, that's Lil Wayne. Why couldn't he have been performing somewhere in the background? Or like Missy Elliott in the first Spider-Man movie?
And speaking of Martha Wayne, so I feel bad because obviously we've gotten used to the fact that they keep retelling the origin stories, but I feel like the poor parents of Batman, I mean, it's like we just keep picking at that scab. I've seen them shot and killed so many times now. How many times have I seen them murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're...
Enough.
I think... Like we talked about last time, DC is going way too quick. They should have spent the time to do a Batman origin story if they were going to have to include all those things, right? Like the reason they kept doing a flashback to that was because they needed to hammer in that his mother's name was Martha. And if that was something you wanted to hammer in, it would have been way better to have that origin story of Batman, learn how this Ben Affleck Batman came to be, and then get this better Batman vs. Superman movie. Cut all that dream sequence stuff out and all the flashbacks, and no Jesus Batman.
No Jesus Batman.
So when you see the movie, there's a sequence when Bruce falls down the well and interacts with the bats for the first time that'll make you go, what the hell am I watching right now?
And that's 45 seconds into the movie.
And we've already said spoilers, so let's just say, like, the bats lift him out of the hole.
Like Jesus.
Like Jesus risen from the grave. And maybe they did that on purpose because it's Easter weekend.
And I shit you not, there was someone in one of the comic book threads that I was reading after the movie opened where he was talking about all of the very religious overtones and like religious imagery that's in this movie, not just that, and then very seriously he said they released this on Easter weekend for a reason. I'm like, no, they released it because they didn't want to go head to head with Civil War and get their ass kicked.
Yeah.
You guys, let's delve really deep into this movie, okay? So right before Batman Jesus shows up on screen, there's a scene of two coffins being carried to a mausoleum, and it's the Wayne family funeral, right? Mm-hmm. And at the front of this procession is Alfred holding Little Wayne, like walking Little Wayne along with him. And Little Wayne takes off and runs into the forest. So, let's say that you were the funeral director for that funeral. Do you wait until they find the kid, or do you say, like, we've got another one of these at 3 o'clock. We've really got to get moving on this. How long do you wait for the son in that situation, because that to me is wholly more interesting than anything that happened for the next 2 hours and 25 minutes in that movie. I would have rather watched a discussion that they had about like, well, we should just get going. Well, we can't. He'll regret this for the rest of his life. Well, maybe it'll turn him into a very heady superhero.
The funeral director's going, we got egg salad that's spoiling over here. We got to wrap this up.
Yeah, I thought there were some good moments. I liked Ben Affleck as Batman. I liked some of the fight scenes. They were fun to watch, but there was too few of them for a movie called Batman versus Superman. I was disappointed all around. The redeeming things in the movie do not make up for the fact that overall it is boring and there's a shitty love story going on between Lois Lane and Superman that has no place in a superhero
movie.
But
I think Jesse Eisenberg was redeeming, and I know he wasn't a good Lex Luthor, but at least he was...
Lex Luger.
That would be awesome if he was Lex Luger.
But at least it was interesting to watch when he was on screen. I thought that the stuff I was at least interested in what was happening, where a lot of the time I was just ready to fall asleep.
And I'll give you that he was interesting, but that's not Lex Luthor. Like, that is not who Lex Luthor's supposed to be. He was like a weird Joker / trickster.
Yeah, he shouldn't be there for the comic relief of a movie.
Lex
That's not his character.
Should never be comic relief, and he's not really that like insane. Also, I don't think they really gave a good why did he want Superman to die so bad? You know, like they didn't build up like like the comic books do about the deep-seated hatred between the two. And he just wants him dead. He's like, Batman, you're supposed to take him out and kill him. Like,
yeah, it's almost like they put that together just like, oh, everyone should know that Lex Luthor's supposed to hate Superman because that's the way 50 years or 60 years of history has gone. Okay, he just hates Superman. Go.
Yeah. But then they spend way too much time reliving, Bruce Wayne's parents dying. Like, we all know that, too.
Yeah.
So if you're going to take out why Lex Luthor hates Superman, you should have taken that out, too. And it skips around so much, it's hard to follow. It was disappointing, and it makes me sad. I feel just as sad as how Ben Affleck looks in that video.
Sad fleck.
Yeah.
Sad flick.
Yeah, you find yourself the first hour and a half going, okay, just get going. And then you find yourself the next hour going, just wrap it up. Just finish it.
But we should give applause to Scratch because this is the first movie we've ever been to. Ozzy was the one that pointed this out, where he did not get up in the middle of it and have to go to the bathroom.
I got up in the middle of the movie and I went and took a dump.
Yeah, we knew because
and
you
let me
took
tell
a
you
while.
something. The most entertaining part of that movie is when I went in there and I laughed at the guy farting in the stall next to me. I had a great time during that. I had a chance to play some Simpsons Tapped Out, and that was probably the most enjoyable time I had in that 2 hours and 30 minutes.
You know what sucks? Yeah, I've got a pretty small bladder, but for me, I was waiting for something to happen, and by the time I realized I had to pee, we had finally gotten to the fight sequence, and I thought, if something's happening on the screen, I'm not leaving now because I've waited this long
and
for something.
I probably did. I was the quickest pee I've ever taken. Like I ran as soon as I got around that corner. I ran, but I got to the point where it was getting painful, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to wait till the end of the movie because then there's going to be this line of people going out, and as soon as I stand up, I'm probably going to wet my pants. So I need to go. But I don't think I really missed anything. I was only out of the theater for 2 minutes.
Would you go to a movie theater that had a built-in catheter, in the seats?
sit in
If
your
you
seat,
go
just
in,
insert
you're like, Would you go to a movie theater that had that?
While I was sitting there in pain, I thought about is it okay to wear Depends to a theater? Am I at that point in my life yet? All these things are running through my head of I cannot believe I waited too long and now the action has started and I am in pain and I can't pay attention because I have to pee so bad. I was so mad at myself that I was thinking are catheters going to be a thing one day? We're at the Dream Lounger stage where you can sleep in your movie theater seat. When are we going to be at the toilet stage where you can pee in your movie theater seat?
Let's quick go around the room. What is something that you think could improve this series for the Justice League movie? How about you, Mr. Spade?
Holy crap, that's a tough one.
Just give me one thing that would make a difference. If they redid Superman's costume.
I liked his costume. I didn't mind that. I think if they keep him dead for a while. If they go into the Justice League movie and they establish a big enough threat that Superman couldn't easily handle, the remaining Justice League, minus Superman, I think that would be an interesting twist. Now that, spoilers, he's dead.
Ozzy.
Bring back Martha.
I think just put a different director on this thing and give him a time restraint. I think a movie can be told in 90 minutes. I hate this 2.5 hour business.
Don't you kind of wish, like Kevin Smith, that you finally give Kevin Smith a chance at like
I
one
don't
of the
know
DC
that that's
pieces?
necessary.
I think that I would have rather have seen a Kevin Smith style Batman than this. Here's my thing: you got to kill Lois Lane. You got to kill Lois and just be done with it, because that was the biggest hurdle and crutch in this movie.
Well,
Poor
don't-
Amy Adams was like, I finally got so much to do.
And remember that scene where the Flash shows up in Bruce Wayne's dream, and he tells him all about how Lois is the key to the future. Mm-hmm. So
Yep, just
we're
kill her.
We're gonna see a lot more of her. I'm
Yep,
afraid.
just get rid of
Yeah.
her. Just be done
That's
with it.
unfortunate because that is. Who would stop fighting to say I love you? It pissed me off so much. And then why does Superman have to mail a wedding ring? We talked about this in the car. Superman should not have to use the mail service at all, really, and for sure not for something as important as a wedding ring.
He would have just flown home and dropped it off.
He could have made a diamond himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
like
could have put that on the top of a fucking mountain.
just-
And like no sweat, like give me literally 2 seconds and I'll be right back.
yeah,
To
I
hide
don't
it from Lois. It wouldn't have been necessarily had to bring it to Smallville.
Yeah, I don't really think that there is like one thing they can change to put these movies on the right track. I didn't like Man of Steel. I didn't like this movie, and I have no like. I think that they should start over. I think that they should scrap it and they should start over and they should do it right and take the time to just do it. Marvel's already way ahead of you. Don't try to catch up. Why are you trying to catch up? Why don't you just do the same thing
Lay
that they
some good
did?
groundwork.
Lay the groundwork. People will go and watch those movies.
You know what's most infuriating to me is they've got quality television shows on right
so
now.
good.
DC's got some good TV happening, but they're like, man, we don't care about that.
Yeah, Zack
we want to
Snyder
make movies.
says that that's not his vision. That's not the vision. You know, the Flash TV show is phenomenal. If you're not watching it, you should be watching it.
And I don't know
But
who
they're-
that Flash was in the grocery store or
But
whatever in
he-
the movie.
That's Barry Allen. That's
Is
the
it?
same Barry Allen that they had in the, or like a different actor, obviously, but it's the same character.
Yeah.
Yep.
and they should
that
have just-
long-haired Aquaman and ugh.
Yeah. They should have used the. Why wouldn't you try to tie your successful TV shows into it? It's total missed opportunity, and obviously they're too full of themselves to try to give the people what they want.
Or do you think DC is maybe run by like one guy who like applied for a job as a janitor and they're like, hey, you're the head of DC Comics now. Oh gosh, you guys, what am I gonna do here?
I think the big problem there is like DC, the movies are all owned and run by Warner Brothers. So like the studio execs, they don't have any connection to the characters. They don't have any, like Jeff Johns, who writes, fairly phenomenally well-written comics for DC, tries to get into as many like movies as he can, but executives are just like, go like Zack Snyder likes comics, let him make a movie. Whereas Marvel Studios, I mean, those people like genuinely like their product and they're involved in their product, and that's why they.
And again, what a huge missed opportunity, because all of DC, correct me if I'm wrong here, but all of DC is under one studio right now. So you have total control over all the characters in the DC
I
banner
believe you are correct.
versus Marvel, who's got some of their best properties at like other studios
Separated.
right now.
Yeah, they have the ability to make something beautiful and to do whatever they want with it, and they're not doing it right. I like the gritty and the dark, but there also needs to be that element of fun, and they are skipping over element of fun, and that's what comic books are, right? Like, people don't read them. People read them because they're fun. They're comics.
That's what's lacking for me. I feel like you go to the Marvel movies, there's a sense of humor about them. All of the characters are very charismatic, Robert Downey Jr., and then you go and see a DC movie, and it seems that it's just so grim and dark, and I don't see any fun whatsoever to it.
Yeah.
I
You
was
can still
bored,
you
silly.
can still have grim and dark movies,
make it-
like Dredd.
Right.
That is a
Yeah.
perfect example. Dredd was dark and gritty, but it was fun. Like, that was a fun movie to watch, and it made like. I think in its entire theatrical run, it made what it made at one theater at West Acres over Batman versus Superman weekend, which is super depressing because it was a great movie.
You guys, quick poll here. Would you rather watch for 24 hours straight Batman versus Superman, the latest Fantastic Four movie, or your grandparents make love?
My grandparents are dead. Can I take that one?
Oh, yeah. You sure can.
I want to watch my dead grandparents make love.
I'm with you on that one. I was going right there too. I was, no grandparents left, but I would prefer to watch that over
sure.
any of the other choices.
3 for grandparents.
Grandparents.
Grandparents corpse porn. Yeah.
Porn.
How about you, Burrito Supreme?
My grandparents are all living, so.
Oh, so then it's a 4-way.
But
It's a granny swap.
I'd probably. I mean, like, do they know that I'm watching?
Oh, yeah. And they're performing for you.
Damn it.
Giving you little shout-outs every now and then.
Taking
Sitting in the
requests.
corner in the dark, smoking a cigarette.
How you like that, burrito?
I can bring my grandparents over too.
Yeah.
My dead grandparents.
Well, we've got this to look forward to, though. We know that Captain America is right around the corner. The new X-Men is right around the corner. So don't be sad for too long.
Right.
And you know what? If you're there and you're thinking like, oh, do I really want to see this movie? Don't worry, because Deadpool is still in theaters, ladies and gentlemen. Go see a second, third, or fourth viewing of Deadpool.
All right, we vented on Batman versus Superman enough.
I think so.
I think I'm over it at this point. Yep.
So your overall opinion was yawn of
Yawn
justice.
of justice. In 1978, Superman made you believe a man could fly. In 2016, you will not believe 2 men can be this boring.
That's a good thing to end on, I think, right there. So, for the Trigger Warning Fun Time podcast, I'm Scratch Masterson.
I'm Ozzy.
I'm Burrito Supreme. No, I'm Babyface Nelson.
I'm Burrito Supreme.
I'm Jack. I may be back.
All right. Thanks a lot, folks. Bye-bye.